Dillian the Body Snatcher right here. It's a champ. Big up to Sporting Icon. Subscribe. Otherwise, I might pay you guys a visit.
Now, firstly, I'm seeing like a lot of people over on social media who are saying, you know what, Anthony Joshua lost. Fair play to Oleksandr Usyk. Usyk is a pound-for-pound fighter. No shame in losing to Anthony Joshua. We're going to stand by Anthony Joshua. He's our guy. Let's see how he bounces back. So full credit to everybody who has. But of course, like anything, much like in football now as well, there will be a lot of people, I've had enough of boxing, that's it, I've had enough, blah, 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 blah. But for me, that says more about their character than anything else. But a fighter taking a loss, hey, is what it is. Okay, I've said this time and time again, so I'm blue in the face. Nothing wrong with taking a loss once in a while. Now, should Anthony Joshua activate the rematch clause? There is a rematch clause. Yes, Oleksandr Usyk was the mandatory. Some people have indifferent opinions on that one. Well, Anthony Joshua paid Oleksandr Usyk more money for this particular fight so he could put in a rematch clause. Okay, that's how it happens. And Oleksandr Usyk accepted it. He didn't have to accept it, but he did. So, like it or not, there is, in fact, a rematch clause, much like there was with the Fury Wilder Part 2 fight. There's a rematch clause. That's why there's a third fight, even though the WBC made Fury the mandatory. Fury, of course, was mandatory for Vladimir Klitschko. There was a rematch clause as well, and it happens time and time again. That is what it is. That's for another debate, I suppose. Now, should Anthony Joshua activate the rematch clause? For me, yes, and I'll tell you why. Because Anthony Joshua, he will know exactly what went wrong in this fight. Sure, he's up against a pound-for-pound fighter, former undisputed cruiserweight world champion. Yes, he hasn't looked great in his two fights at heavyweight with it Chaz Witherspoon and Derek Chisora. It is what it is. But the tactics were all wrong for Anthony Joshua, and he will know that. He won't need me or you or anybody to tell him that. He will know when he watches the tape back. In fact, I'm pretty sure when, at the very end of the fight, he knew. Maybe even before the end of the bell, he knew that the tactics were wrong in that fight. Where what you don't do is try and outbox somebody as slippery and skillful as Oleksandr Usyk. Now, my prediction for this fight was that Anthony Joshua was going to win on points. But I did say, don't be surprised of anything happening in this fight. And we have to give Anthony Joshua huge credit for not swerving Oleksandr Usyk. Because he could have done. He could have just went, you know what, WBO belt, just get rid of it. Joyce, go on, you go fight Usyk for the belt. He could have done that. He could have thrown a tantrum because the Tyson Fury fight didn't come off. All that kind of stuff. Which again, maybe another video, are we now ever going to see this particular fight? Are we only ever going to see Fury and Joshua if they've got the belts? Again, that's probably another video. But when it comes to the rematch, yes, I think Anthony Joshua should take the rematch. Why? And why wouldn't he? Because as I said before, he will know what went wrong in this. And we know what went wrong. Anybody who watched it with a pair of eyes in their head can see exactly what was going wrong. Even in the first couple of rounds, when Usyk is starting to find his feet, find his range. He was the one finding the range, even though he's a shorter guy. And I've said this time and time again, that Anthony Joshua seems to struggle a little bit with shorter opponents. If he has opponents that's his kind of height or maybe a bit taller, he seems to find them quite comfortable. Okay? Now, I'm not saying that, of course, Tyson Fury, he's taller than Anthony Joshua, so this fight with Tyson Fury wouldn't go the same way. It may well go the same way. Okay? It may well do because Tyson Fury, he does move like a cruiserweight, doesn't he? Or a light heavyweight, he does. So maybe, again, for another video, I suppose. But when it comes to Oleksandr Usyk, listen, he's a pound-for-pound fighter, and he's a southpaw. Joshua's only fought one southpaw before in Charles Martin, so he never really got the rounds under his belt fighting Charles Martin, because obviously he stopped Charles Martin in 2 rounds. So this is going to be something new for Joshua. Joshua did seem very cagey in this fight, but as I said in the post-fight review, Joshua was having more success when he was marching forward and just going at it. Usyk didn't like it. Was it round number 7, I think it was, where Anthony Joshua, he caught Oleksandr Usyk in like the last minute of the round. I'm probably wrong on round 7, but it's around that kind of time where Joshua threw about 3 or 4 right hands and they were landing on Oleksandr Usyk. Not as flush as what Joshua would have liked, of course not. But Usyk didn't like it. You could see in his face. He was hurt. He didn't like it. That's what Joshua needs to do in the rematch. And that's exactly what Joshua will do in the rematch. It's one thing to have a chess match, which of course I did predict that would probably be a chess match, which of course it was. But what you don't do is stand in the middle of the ring and let Usyk run around you. You don't do that. And to have Oleksandr Usyk be the one who's finding the range before Anthony Joshua, that's not a great sign when Anthony Joshua is the taller man. In theory, he should better just keep Usyk behind the jab. But it's easier said than done when you've got somebody as slippery and as skillful as Oleksandr Usyk. So I do expect Anthony Joshua to take the rematch. I wouldn't blame him if he didn't. Does Anthony Joshua need the belts? No, of course not. You know, he's a global superstar with or without the belts. Okay, but Anthony Joshua, he does like to be world champion, so why not? But if he does take the rematch, I fully expect him to not necessarily make changes back room or anything, as much as I didn't agree personally with the tactics that Rob McCracken was saying of just keep behind the jab, be clever with it, the right hand will come. I didn't agree with that. But at the end of the day, I'm not a professional boxing coach. Okay, so who am I to say that I know more about it than what Rob McCracken does? Of course I don't, right? But in my opinion, the tactics were wrong in this fight. But the tactics in the rematch, I think, will be right. Now, it's going to be very dangerous for Joshua, though, because Joshua is just going to have to go at him. If Joshua goes at him, then I think Joshua can dispatch of him. He really can. Usyk, by the looks of it, fantastic chin. He did take some big shots. Big shots that other fighters have gone down from. Usyk didn't. As much as they hurt Usyk, he didn't go down from them. Usyk has the heart of a lion, doesn't he? Okay? But in the rematch, I fully expect I don't want to say a new Anthony Joshua, but more a older version of Anthony Joshua, where he will just come forward looking for the knockout, not waiting to be counterpunched so he can land a counterpunch himself. Throw a jab in the hope that Usyk throws back, then he counters him. That's not what Anthony Joshua needs to do. But again, maybe there's something wrong with his sparring partners. We know that he had the likes of Dempsey McKean in there. Is Dempsey McKean an ideal sparring partner? Maybe. Maybe Joshua was finding it quite comfortable in sparring. Maybe. But it's quite difficult to get sparring partners in who are southpaws who are as skillful as Usyk. Because you're not really going to find it, are you? You're really not. But anyway, for me, I think Anthony Joshua should take the rematch. He should. But if he didn't, as I said before, I fully understand why. Because could Anthony Joshua take 2 losses on the bounce if he doesn't get the tactics right? I mean, he could, but at the end of the day, Joshua is a very prideful person. Of course he is, and he will want those belts back. And he will fully believe that he will get Oleksandr Usyk. Because even though that Joshua, he was clipped quite hard in round number 3, and of course at the end of the fight, where quite clearly he got hurt, but I think a lot of that was down to exhaustion. Joshua will know he can take Usyk's best punches. He can take it. So that will probably give Joshua a bit of confidence in the rematch. So I do expect him to activate the rematch, and I fully expect him to change the tactics up big style and just march forward, Derek Chisora him, do what Marius Bradis did and keep on coming forward. But for Joshua to do that and sustain the energy, especially if the fight goes into the later rounds, he's going to have to lose a bit more weight, isn't he? Is that ideal for Joshua? I don't know. But anyway, for me, I think Anthony Joshua should activate the rematch clause, and I think that he will. Okay? That's my thoughts. You drop me yours, click thumbs up, subscribe. Catch you on the next video.